Little intro, if you can, let people know kind of who you are, what you're doing.
Who is Nicky Rizzles, and how did that name come about?
Oh, so I'll give you the abbreviated version. The way the name came about is my last name is Rizzo, and I was at a party with a buddy of mine when we were younger, and he could not get my attention. He was just like, Nicky, Rizzo. And now before this, my grandmother was the only one who called me Nicky. So all of a sudden, everyone's calling me Nicky. So I'm just like, okay, it's cool. Like, whatever. I don't care
it's happened
anymore.
before.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that was grandma's thing, but now it's everybody. So he couldn't get my attention. He's like, Nicky, Rizzo, Rizzles. He goes, Nicky Rizzles. And I looked at him. I go, what was that? And I finally heard him.
That's funny.
And he just goes, I guess that's your new nickname. So to like clown it a little bit more, I realized that you could do vanity plates on the DMV website. So I got Rizzles.
Immediately.
This is like in 2008, 2007. I immediately got Rizzles as the plate. So we're laughing, we're joking around, never taking it seriously. And then everyone at the gym, Rizzles.
Wow.
All of our buddies, Rizzles. Like it took off. And then when I started the production side of my company, I kind of fell into that side of things, but it kind of just turned into Rizzles Productions at the time. And now it's Rizzles Media Group because I just switched it to rebrand it a little bit and make it a little bit more professional and catering to more than just a production side of things because we all wind up wearing a million hats. But that's kind of where the name just came from in that that aspect. But kind of going through life and then up to owning the company, it started off, I started off working in Apple at the retail side and I worked my way up there and then I wound up leaving. I'm giving you the very abbreviated version. And then I wound up leaving and going to a sales job in the Hamptons where I basically sold all top tier home theater systems like IMAX theaters and client homes and all kinds of crazy 1%er type homes that you see the outside of, but when you see the inside, you go,
like there's a whole theater underneath this.
It's insane. So I was doing that. I was in the Hamptons. I was in the city. And then at that point, I wanted to create a YouTube channel because I had quite the fitness journey up until that point. So to backtrack before we forward track, when I was in 10th grade, I was 270 pre-diabetic. So they basically told me if you got any heavier, you're going to take an insulin pump.
And how tall are you?
I'm only 5'7". So I held the weight decently for what it was, but it wasn't excellent to have that weight. You know, you guys know as professionals in fitness and whatnot, you just know that that's horrible to have on your frame.
Also as a young kid, right? The picture you have of yourself, right? The whole.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, young men, you're trying to get interest of women, and you're trying to like get confidence, this and that, and what you're really getting is denied by women. No one's interested in seeing you as like a romantic type of a relationship. They're just seeing you as a friendship type of thing. Your self-confidence is shot. Your physical activity is shot. So I did paintball back then, so it didn't require too much running and too much exercise. So it was kind of like a culmination of just my parents splitting up. Dad didn't exercise with me. I'd go to his house every couple of weeks, and it was just like a feeding frenzy of just nonstop eating and no exercise. So it was horrible. I mean, with the knowledge that we have collectively today, knowing this, you look, if you had that knowledge when you were younger, you'd be like, oh, this is like so the wrong thing to be doing. And it's just setting this child up for failure along the way. So by the time I hit the 270, I knew I was heavy. It was pretty apparent. And the doctor told me, like, you have to lose the weight. So ironically, I was cutting gym class a lot back then. So I wound up having to go to summer school gym for 2 sessions.
Summer school gym.
So it was like 6 hours of gym. And it was, bro, it was just walking the track in like 100-degree heat.
The most movement you've ever probably
done.
The most
movement in that type of environment. And then I started playing handball at the time. So we were playing a lot of handball, a lot of hit cardio type of scenario. And it was just kind of like the recipe that I needed to get into it. Chiropractor that I knew at the time, he taught me about macros before macros were even really widely spoken about. Because this is, like I said, early 2000s. And so I wound up doing almost like a keto diet without really knowing what keto was. I wound up doing ham and cheese roll-ups or turkey and cheese roll-ups with no bread. And I would just not have carbs. So I'd get like half a pound of each or a quarter pound of cheese, half a pound of the meat. And I would literally just roll it up, do roll-ups for lunch. So that plus all the activity, I dropped from 270 to about 190 in one summer. So my body can move the weight when I actually focus. So yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Crazy.
So
it's a whole different kid that comes back to school.
No, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It was
No, it was crazy,
kid in
man.
school,
It was nuts. So
you had to introduce yourself to the class again.